Hello my dear student, I am Professor Devashish Bose, Head Department of Criminology and Forensic Science, Dr. Hari Singh Gaur Vishwavidyalaya, Sagar, Madhya Pradesh. Today I am going to present a lecture of BSc first semester on the unit Fingerprint Bureau, which has been jointly prepared by myself and Ms. Priyanka Pade, PhD scholar, a UGC JRF at Department of Criminology and Forensic Science, Dr. Hari Singh Gaur Vishwavidyalaya, Sagar. So let's start our discussion while taking a look at what we are going to learn today. In today's lecture of Fingerprint Bureaus, the Module 1 will be dedicated to Introduction and Concept of Fingerprint Bureau. Module 2 will be Historical Background. Module 3, Organizational Setup of Fingerprint Bureaus. Module 4, Objectives of Fingerprint Bureau. Module 5, Functions of Fingerprint Bureau. And finally, Module 6 will be our conclusion. My dear student, do you know what fingerprint stand for? Have you ever seen your fingerprint? It's not the palm print, it's a fingerprint which you can see on the index of your finger. They are permanent, they do not change throughout your life, and whenever you touch something, they being there. They have been classified, they are your ID. You can be tracked, you can be identified, you can be numbered. Do you remember your Aadhaar card? What they did? Or even for a driving license, what they are doing? They are taking your fingerprints. It's very funny, but yes, you are giving your identity card. You are giving your identity. So, now we start with this interesting lecture of Fingerprint Bureau. I think as a forensic student, most of you know the importance of fingerprint as it plays a very important and crucial role in criminal justice system. Not now, from ancient time. First of all, I would like to tell you what is fingerprint. In simple way, fingerprints are the impression of the frictional ridges that are present on the palmar surface of the fingertips. These frictional ridges have a specific details on the gripping surface with an enhanced quality of nerves and pores. These tiny raised peaks and valleys are located on the tip of the fingers along with the sweat pores. Human fingerprints are nearly unique. They are different to alter and cannot change over the life of an individual except in case of injury, amputation, some disease. The quality makes them suitable as long as for a long time marker of human identity. Fingerprints are considered to be the foolproof mean of identification according to statistical evaluation of Victor Balthazar. The probability of finding same fingerprint of two persons is 1060 all over the world, and still till date it stands. As you all know that in earlier time, it is not easy to identify fingerprints without taking them on paper. So, fingerprint experts started taking impression of the fingers on paper and started comparison as well as examination of frictional ridges characters of fingerprint. Sir Henry approached the government to pursue approval for replacing the anthropometric data by fingerprint for the identification of habitual criminals. So, what was anthropometrical data? It's a measurement of your bones, of your facial structure. But there was always a chance to duplicacy. But in fingerprints, it's not. So finally, government readily agreed, and the first fingerprint bureau of the world was officially declared open in our country. That was Calcutta in the year 1897 by efforts of the police chief of the South Bengal, Sir Edward Richard Henry. After the Bengal was the first state to establish its own fingerprint bureau, after that almost all states have their own fingerprint bureau at state level as well as single digit fingerprint bureau at district level or fingerprint sections in forensic science laboratory or fingerprint bureau. Generally, fingerprint bureau is a place where examination and comparison of fingerprints are carried out. When fingerprints are used for criminal investigation, two types of identification are generally carried out. Firstly, personal identification, and second, in chance print identification or latent fingerprint identification found at the respective scene of crime. Personal identification involves establishing the true identity of a person who are already in custody. But in forensic science or criminal investigating system, the most important and crucial work of Fingerprint Bureau is to link the finger impression identified and lifted from the scene of crime to the criminal who had committed the crime, and is called chance print or latent print identification. That means the print which has been left by that accused. That's why we call it chance, or that's why we call it latent. If it would have been visible, I could have wiped it out, but it's latent, I don't know, and I left it there. So that's why in the beginning I said it's your identity card. So to achieve these objectives, the record of fingerprint of convicted persons are maintained in the Fingerprint Bureau under specific schedules of offences. The records are stored in two categories: 10-digit fingerprint records using Henry's system of classification for personal identification, and single-digit record using Batley's system of classification for scene of crime print identification. This system has worked out for centuries, and it has established its effectiveness as a reliable investigator's tool to reveal the truth in several crimes world over. With the advent of information technology, this system, maintained essentially by manual efforts of experts, is now being automated for faster response, and fingerprint records are now being computerized. So it reduces the human error. But the methodology, the technology is still the same. The same old fingerprint which was developed in India still exists now, except for computerization. Fingerprint Bureau and fingerprint both are linked with each other. If there were no fingerprint, there wouldn't have been Fingerprint Bureau. So in ancient world, fingerprint was taken on clay tablets for business purpose in Babylon in 1000 to 2000 BC. Around 3rd century, thumbprints has been taken on clay seals to sign documents. After a long time, in the year 1686, a professor of anatomy in University of Bologna, Italy, named Marsilio Malfigi, noted that no two fingerprints were at exactly match. He observed common characters of spirals, loops, and ridges in fingerprint. In the year 1823, by J. Purkinje, professor of anatomy with the University of Breslau, Prussia, detailed of 9 different fingerprint patterns. Then in the year 1858, the chief magistrate of the Hooghly district in Jangirpur, Bengal, India, Sir William Herschel, first used fingerprint to sign contracts with the native Indians. The most important work in history of fingerprint has been done in 1896 by a British officer, Sir Edward Richard Henley in Bengal, introducing a fingerprint program for all prisoners. He also developed a system of his own which included 1024 primary classifications. Sir Henry gave the idea of tracing a criminal from the latent fingerprint found at the scene of crime and came to the conclusion that no fingerprint were alike. And till date, we follow Henry's classification. The idea of William Herschel and Henry Ford have been taken by Sir Francis Galton, who established scientifically the basic principle of uniqueness and permanency of fingerprint. So, he was officially established a first fingerprint bureau of the world at Calcutta in the year July 1897. So my dear student, you know it's a long history. After that, Sir Edward Richard Henry employed few selected Indian police officers named Khan Bahadur Azizul Haq and Rai Bahadur Hemchandra Bose to work under his general supervision till the classification was evolved, which remains the basic system even today. Even we say that these two Indians were the main brain behind the evolution of the Fingerprint Bureau. So finally, Khan Bahadur Azizul Haq, who evolved a mathematical formula to supplement Henry's idea of sorting slips in 1024 pigeonholes based on fingerprint patterns. And Rai Bahadur Hemchandra Bose made further contribution to the fingerprint science by evolving an extended system of subclassification, a telegraphic code for fingerprint impression, and a system of single digit classification. How Indian influenced the fingerprint? It was all Indian who had evolved the system, obviously under the umbrella of Sir Henry, but it was the main Indian force which developed and conceptualized the fingerprint. As you all know that as technology grown worldwide, automated fingerprint identification system, FIS, which was developed by Federal Bureau of Investigation, have taken advantage of manual fingerprinting identification and comparison system. Automated fingerprint identification system work all over the world, but India has developed its own version of FIS called as FACTS, Fingerprint Analysis and Criminal Tracing System, which have been developed by NCRB, National Crimes Record Bureau, and CMC Limited, India. This system uses image processing and pattern recognition technique to capture, encode, store and match fingerprints, including comparison of latent fingerprint found at a scene of crime. As I mentioned, that world's first fingerprint bureau was set up in Calcutta in the year 1897. After that, another fingerprint bureau, that is Central Fingerprint Bureau, CFPB, was established at Simla in the year 1905. However, it was closed in the year 1922 as a result of retrenchment proposal of the Inchap Committee. The present Central Fingerprint Bureau came into existence in the year 1955 under the administrative control of Intelligence Bureau at Delhi. It was relocated to Calcutta, now Kolkata, in the year 1956. The administrative control of Central Fingerprint Bureau shifted to Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI, in 1973, and since July 1986, this has been under the administrative control of National Crimes Record Bureau. Nowadays, each forensic science laboratory have its own fingerprint section of individual fingerprint bureau. So, my dear student, I think the history of the Fingerprint Bureau is quite interesting and will be helpful for you in the competitive exams also. You have seen from where it has started, evolved, and what is the present status. Now, different states have their own organizational setup, but we will discuss here the common organizational structure of Fingerprint Bureau. All over, it's almost the same, whether we say this state or that state or national level. Maybe some position differs, some persons differ, but it's almost the same. So it's a general idea for you all. The Fingerprint Bureau or Fingerprint Section is most of the state of India work under the State Crime Records Bureau or as individual unit which are separate from Forensic Science Laboratory. But in some state, this bureau are working with a section or unit of Forensic Science Laboratory. So this is the case. The common organizational setup is as follows. So my dear student, now we will talk about how this organization is working. In all fingerprint bureaus, sub-inspector or SI of fingerprint are responsible for classifying fingerprint slip. They also carry out recording of fingerprint slip in property cases such as single digit system. Inspectors of the fingerprint unit visit scene of crime and develop chance fingerprint or latent fingerprint present over there. In serious or high profile cases, Deputy Superintendent of Police, DSP, related to fingerprint also visits the scene of crime. The fingerprint staff were originally known by their designations such as fingerprint searcher, fingerprint expert, fingerprint superintendent and director of fingerprint bureau according to their work and designation. So, I hope with this in this module we are clear about how the system works. What are the objectives? Every institute has their own objectives. So what is the objective of Fingerprint Bureau, mainly in India? The main objectives are to maintain fingerprint record slips of the accused person convicted in various acts, to conduct search related to unidentified interstate arrested or suspect person received from police station and other investigating agencies within India, to maintain the fingerprint of international criminals and red corner notice sent by Interpol, and to conduct search on references received from foreign countries through Interpol, to undertake examination of question fingerprint impressions on document received from central government departments, undertakings and court of laws, to impart training in fingerprint science to state or central police personnel and also to personnel from foreign countries under Technical Cooperation Scheme (TCS) or of Colombo Plan, Special Commonwealth African Assistance Plan (SCAAP) and International Technical and Economic Cooperation (ITEC), to coordinate the work of the State Fingerprint Bureau and give necessary guidance in all matters related to fingerprint science, to conduct the All India Conference of Directors of Fingerprint Bureau, to conduct All India Board Examination annually for accrediting fingerprint experts, to conduct competition in fingerprint science at the All India Police Duty Meet held annually. So what are the functions of Fingerprint Bureau? I think by now you might have known, and as a forensic student you should have known that what are the functions, but for your convenience let me describe. The main functions of the Fingerprint Bureau are to maintain a database of fingerprint of criminals, national and international, and to disseminate these information. This was first aimed to maintain fingerprint record slips, conduct searches of a specified category of Indian and foreign criminals convicted of offence falling under the schedule of the Central Fingerprint Bureau, and also to maintain records of international criminals sent by the International Police Organization, divisions of Central Bureau of Investigation and Narcotic Controls Bureau, to undertake examination of questioned fingerprint impression referred by central government departments and Government of India undertaking, to impart training to fingerprint science, theory as well as practical, to the police and non-police personnel of the state government in India and personnel from foreign countries under Technical Cooperation Scheme of Colombo Plan, Special Commonwealth African Assistance Plan and International Technical and Economic Cooperation with other developing countries, to coordinate with the working of the State Fingerprint Bureau and give necessary guidance in all matters pertaining to the fingerprint science, to conduct All India Board Examination. It started since 1956. Every year for accrediting the fingerprint experts. The eligibility to appear in the examination is a graduate from a recognized university and who has completed 3 years practical experience in fingerprint works. To conduct competition in fingerprint science at the All India Police Duty Meet. To publish Fingerprint in India, an annual publication which is an in-depth study of the performance and activities of all the Fingerprint Bureau of the country. Function of the State Fingerprint Bureau. The main function of this bureau is a recording wing. Recording of fingerprint slips of the convicted persons in that particular state. Maintenance and updating of fingerprint and conviction details of convicted person. Search wing. Search of fingerprint slips to collect previous history of the arrested person. Whenever a person is arrested, his fingerprint slip will be taken and forwarded to this bureau. On searching the same, among the records, one can have whether that person was an ex-convict or his actual name and address. How many convictions have been recorded in his or her name, whether he or she is wanted in any case and in which case he or she has been traced for. Identification of unidentified dead body. Whenever an unidentified dead body is found, his or her fingerprint are taken and forwarded to this bureau. One can find out the identity if he or she is an ex-convict if is a suspect as that of some known person but could not be identified, in case be identified by using some specimen fingerprint from the documents like title deeds. And these days Aadhaar card and the driving license are the main identification tools. Thumb impression register of the sub-registrar's office, identity card, etc. Document wing, giving expert opinion in civil and criminal case regarding fingerprint disputes. FS, that is Automated Fingerprint Identification System. Bureau is maintaining a database of criminals which is frequently updated. The system has helped the identification of several unsolved cases, which includes the detection of other state cases. So, this has had an advantage over the manual system of searching, but the main things remains the same. Now we move on to Advanced Research Laboratory. Many state fingerprint bureau has developed Advanced Research Laboratory which enhances original contribution in the field of dactyloscopy. Training. Fingerprint Bureau is imparting training to professionals of various branches. This includes medical director generals and postgraduate students, law students, engineering postgraduate students. This is in addition to the training imparted to the judicial officers and police officers. Some of the other functions are jail testing to prevent imprisonment and to ensure the accurate of criminal profiling detail. The inspectors of the State Fingerprint Bureau frequently visit jails to check whether the persons originally convicted by the court are put behind the bar. Giving oral evidences at court. The experts are required to give oral evidence in the court of law whenever they are cited as expert witness. Attestation of fingerprints of civilians for immigration purposes. Functions of Single Digit Fingerprint Bureau at district level. There are district units of the Fingerprint Bureau having officers in all police districts. Unlike the main bureau, the Single Digit Bureau have 10 record cards for each convicts, 1 record for each finger digit. These records are called Single Digit Fingerprint Record. Hence, the name Single Digit Fingerprint Bureau falls. These district units are directly aiding criminal investigation. The main function of the Bureau are inspection of scene of crime to gather fingerprint evidence. The fingerprint experts of the Single Print Digit Fingerprint Bureau visit scene of crime immediately on receipt of request from the investigating officer. They develop chance print or latent fingerprint using different optical, physical and chemical methods and photographing those latent developing by these methods. All kind of modern technology are being utilized for developing and recording and lifting of this latent thing at the crime scene. Comparison of latent thing. The latent fingerprint developed by physical or chemical methods are being compared manually or automatically with the help of available records that are daily arrested register, fingerprint slip, print of suspected person, etc. Unidentified chance print are kept safely and regularly compared with the incoming daily arrest fingerprint slip received from the police station of that district. The unidentified chance print are also compared with the fingerprint slip recorded in the automated fingerprint identification system at Fingerprint Bureau for a statewide search. Fingerprint experts of the Single Digit Fingerprint Bureau frequently visit other district bureau in the state as well as outside the state for comparison of chance print. Maintain single digit record of convicted persons. Fingerprint of all the persons convicted in the district are kept record in this bureau, giving oral evidence in the court. The fingerprint expert who inspect the scene of crime will be an expert witness in that case. They are required to give oral evidence as and when required in the court of law. Confirmation of fingerprints for the settlement purposes. So these all are the functions. Today, you all have learned about the Fingerprint Bureau in India. We have discussed about the world's first fingerprint bureau and his founder, Sir William Herschel, who established it in India. Apart from the Fingerprint Bureau, you all have also taken the knowledge of the organizational structure of Fingerprint Bureau, which officers are responsible for this organization and working. their control group as well as working group. In this lecture, we have also seen the function of Fingerprint Bureau at central level, state level and district level. So finally, you all gain the interesting fact that nowadays India has only one central fingerprint which is working under the aegis of National Crime Records Bureau. Finally, I wind up this interesting lecture, and more than interesting, it's a knowledgeable lecture. With all this information here, we come to the end of today's lecture. Do keep in mind what we have discussed today. Otherwise, it will all be evaporated. So keep repeating. So do some self-study, and for today, I am Professor Devashish Bose signing off. If you want to learn more and enhance your knowledge, you may log on to our website for MCQs, quizzes and LORs at www.cec.nic.in. Till then, goodbye.